Let me start by saying I've always loved bars. The dim lighting, the hum of conversations, the clinking of glasses. It's comforting, familiar. But after what happened that night, I can't step foot in one without feeling the hairs on my neck stand on end. My name is Nick, and this is the story of the worst night of my life. It was a Friday, and I had just finished a grueling week at work. My coworker, Ryan, suggested we grab a drink at this dive bar downtown. "You'll love it," he said. "It's got that gritty charm." When we walked in, it smelled like stale beer and cigarettes. The place was nearly empty except for a few regulars hunched over their drinks. There was something off about the atmosphere, a heaviness I couldn't quite place. The bartender, a wiry guy with hollow eyes, barely acknowledged us as we sat down. Ryan ordered a round of whiskey. As we toasted to the weekend, I noticed something odd. The lights flickered, just once, enough to make me pause. Halfway through my second drink, a man slid onto the stool next to me. He was tall and gaunt, with sunken eyes and a crooked smile that didn't reach them. "You're not from around here," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "Nope," I replied, trying to keep it short. "First time here?" I nodded, taking a sip of my drink. He leaned in closer, his breath reeking of something sour. "This place has history." Ryan, ever the social butterfly, jumped in. "What kind of history?" The man's grin widened. "You'll see." A couple of hours passed, and the bar started filling up. The flickering lights became more frequent, and the air grew colder, like someone had cranked up the AC. The bartender, who I now noticed never smiled, kept glancing nervously at the clock. Around midnight, the stranger's demeanor shifted. He placed a hand on my shoulder and whispered, "If I were you, I'd leave now." "Why?" I asked, half laughing, but his expression was deadly serious. "Just trust me," he said. Then he slipped off the stool and disappeared into the crowd. Ryan laughed it off, but I couldn't shake the unease that had settled in my gut. I was about to suggest we leave when the lights flickered again. This time, they didn't come back on. The bar plunged into darkness, and a collective murmur rippled through the crowd. Then came the sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to echo from everywhere at once. "What the hell was that?" Ryan whispered. Before I could answer, the emergency lights flickered on, casting the room in a sickly red glow. That's when I saw them. Shadows. Dozens of them, moving independently of their owners. They stretched and twisted, some crawling along the walls, others hovering above the ground. One by one, the regulars began to scream. The shadows attacked without warning. They darted toward people, enveloping them in darkness. I watched in horror as a woman at the end of the bar was consumed, her screams muffled as the shadow swallowed her whole. Ryan grabbed my arm. "We need to get out of here." We bolted for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The bartender was nowhere to be seen, and the other patrons were in complete panic. Some tried breaking windows, but the glass wouldn't shatter. "It's no use," someone shouted. "You can't leave until it's done." "Until what's done?" Ryan screamed back, but no one answered. In the chaos, I spotted the stranger again. He was standing in the corner, completely calm. I ran to him, desperate for answers. "What the hell is happening?" I shouted. "It's the bar," he said simply. "It's hungry." "Hungry?" He nodded. "It feeds on fear, every now and then it locks everyone in and takes what it needs. The trick is not to let it get to you. And if it does," his eyes darkened, "then you're part of it forever." I don't know how long we were trapped. Time seemed to warp in that place. Ryan and I stuck together, trying to stay out of the shadows' reach. But they were relentless. One by one, the other patrons were taken. Finally, as the clock struck 3 a.m., the shadows froze. The lights flickered back on, and the front door creaked open. Ryan and I didn't hesitate. We sprinted out into the street, gasping for air, when we looked back. The bar was gone. In its place was an empty lot. Ryan and I never spoke about that night again. We drifted apart, both too haunted by what we'd seen. Sometimes late at night I'll dream of that place. I'll see the flickering lights, hear the growls, feel the shadows closing in. And when I wake up, I can't shake the feeling that it's not over, that the bar is still out there waiting for its next meal.